What's going on, Trading Gang? It's your boy Nikki Pips. We're back at it again with another video for you guys. So I wanted to make this video to kind of share my strategy with you guys. So if you guys have been following me, you guys know that I trade supply and demand and trend. Not only that, market structure. So I just want to show you guys my simple strategy, which has literally gotten me a couple payouts from a live account, and also recently just got funded a 50K account with Take Profit Trader. So I typically trade US 30. That's usually my asset that I trade, but I want to just take you through, we can use gold, for instance. So I'm going to take you through basically how I mark up my charts to um, what I look for and what areas I look for to take trades. All right. So let me bring up my chart here. So I trade very, very simply. So let me minimize myself a little bit. So I trade very simply. So I literally just look for supply and demand zones, but I also look for key levels as well. And I kind of watch candlesticks. So candlesticks are important, because candlesticks tell a story at the end of the day. Give me 1 second. Let me move myself down here. All right. So you guys can see the chart. So let's go to like gold, for instance. Okay. So I'll remove whatever indicators I have. All right. So we got a nice clean chart right here. So of course this is my strategy. So of course we always start on the weekly. We always start on the weekly time frame. So we're always going to mark up previous week's high and low. So for instance, so this was last week. So of course we're on the weekly. So previous weekly high and low. We're going to simply mark that up. So we have a previous area right here, which is our previous weekly high, previous weekly low. So simple as that. And then I will typically mark it up by, so this is perfect. This is a psychological level. So 5145, that would be a perfect psychological level. So here I would literally just put previous weekly high, and then so copy this previous weekly high, and then put in the price of where that is. Same thing here, previous weekly low. So since I'll look here and I'll say, okay, this is really close, so I could even just put this at an even 4,900. So just like that, copy that. Then we put previous weekly low. There we go. So those are our 2 points that we want to focus on, because price can either try to retest that previous weekly high, or it's going to tap into that previous weekly low. So I tend to go down to a lower time frame after that. So we go down to the 4-hour. So why I do this is because this allows me to identify the trend. So of course we're looking at the higher time frame, right? So it's higher time frame. Gold has been bullish for years, to be honest, incrementally. But if we're looking in the most recent times, we're still bullish, other than, of course, this kind of sell-off that we had back in February 2nd. But we're still bullish. So again, 4-hour. So right now, gold has been pretty consolidated, to be honest with you. So this is a range right here. So this is a range that we honestly need to break out of, because we had an all-time high all the way up here at 56.26. So we need to break out of that. So strategy-wise, again, we'll go on the weekly, mark up our previous weekly high and low, and then I like to go down in the lower time frame, like the 4 hour, and kind of box our areas. So, because that's where we have our supply and demand zones. So take a rectangle here, and then we literally mark this chart up, just like that. So, because we look for areas where price tapped into previously. So again, this was a previous weekly high. We definitely want to mark that up. And then of course the previous weekly low, definitely want to mark that up as well. And I always go like from the wick. Okay. So we'll mark up to about right here. And then I'll show you like how if we were to take a trade, I'll go back to previous weeks and I'll show you how I would take a trade. So, or what my basis would be off of. So again, so we'd mark up this area, and then we'd mark up some other areas as well. So of course we have a low right here. So where price is tapped into before. So again, we will mark that up. So price is tapped into here before. So it hasn't tapped into it in a while, but when it last did, it tapped into that area. So another area as well on the like supply side is you want to look for areas like this. So price could easily come back up, tap into this area right here because price tapped into here before. So 52.67, that would be another area that once it breaks out of this, it could easily tap into this area. So I would mark up this area. So again, just keeping your charts super clean, and of course you can put the price there as well. So this is perfect, 4755.5. Again, another psychological level. So I'll just place that there. Same thing here. We have 5269.5. I'll just round it up to 70. And we'll place that just like that. So we have our areas marked up. So if I were to go, so this is how I'd actually mark up my charts. So if I'm going to take a trade, I always look at the 15-minute. Okay, so of course I want to look at the higher time frame, like the daily, the 4 hour, just to kind of see trend. But also, like we can look at the 1 hour, right? So I'll go back a little while. So we'll go back to like here. So this is around December 12th. Okay. So this would be on a Friday. So we'll go to like a Monday. So here we go. So this is 10 a.m. on Monday. So we want to always look at, let's mark up market open. So we'll do a vertical line. So let's go to the 15-minute. All right, let me go to the 30-minute here. So let's get away from this. So December 12th, I think it was. Or no, December 8th. So that's a Monday. So that was December 8th, Monday. Okay, and we want to mark up 9:30. Boom, there we go. So this is market open because of course I have this set to New York time. So that's 9:30. So 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. So we want to look at that, and I always like to wait at least the first 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. So we'll go down to the 15-minute here. Let's see, where's our line? There we go. So this is a 15-minute time frame.
and this is market open right here. So the reason why I want to wait the first 15 minutes is it's gonna show me the true direction of where price is gonna go. So of course, this usually happens on US 30. Price will literally pop up or down, and then it'll reject. So if we see here, market open, price dropped, and then we had a huge push up. So this was kind of manipulation, and then it continued its true direction to the downside, and then literally consolidated for the rest of the day. So that's not typically what we would want, but again, we want to wait for price to make its true direction. So this isn't a good example because price ended up making a push down and then consolidated. So we'll scratch this one. I'll leave this line here, but we'll scratch out. Let's go to another day. So we'll go to Tuesday. We'll mark up 9:30. Okay, so here's market open. So also you want to look at previous sessions also. So more than likely, since this is market open, this was London session and this was Asian session right here. So Asian session had some nice volume. During London session, it consolidated. And then, of course, we had a pullback here. And, of course, price pushed up. So, of course, market open was right here. So this also is another indication, too, where you have to look at candlesticks. So what I mean by that is, again, this circle right here. So this is what we call a double bottom. So right here, where you have two candles that create rejection wicks, because that usually indicates a reversal, so a push to the other direction. So here, that's exactly what happened. So of course, if you see here, we had a nice push to the upside. We broke above these highs right here, and then we had a pullback. So price has to pull back for that direction to continue. So with seeing that, again, that's why we want to wait. So again, if we, when we wait the first 15 minutes, so of course this was 10 o'clock. So this was 30 minutes after. So could we have capitalized on this? Yes, because we had a nice rejection right here, and we could have took a quick short right here, and we could have got easily like a 1 to 2. So like say if we saw a short here, we saw a rejection right at about here. We could have put our stops right above the previous high, and we could have shot for just a 1 to 2. And that would have been an easy one and done. So because price actually pushed all the way down to here, which would have been a nice almost 1 to 3. So that's what we kind of want to shoot for too, is usually like a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 risk to reward. So that would have been a nice setup right there. Or what we could have done also is, of course, we were waiting for direction to continue, right? So of course we had a nice push up, a nice rejection here, and then price continued to push up. So this was at about 10:15. So again, we could have capitalized on that. So we could have took a long position here. We saw this rejection. We saw price wasn't able to push below these previous candles, so we could have took a buy position right here. Again, stops below these lows, and we could have targeted maybe this high. So, or we could have targeted this high. So, because you always want to look to the left also, because that's where price previously went to. So if you see here, we would have had a nice 1 to 4 right here. So you always want to look at previous supply area, previous demand area. So again, this would have been a solid trade right here. So that's what I've been personally doing, is waiting at least 15-20 minutes after market open, just to see where price officially wants to go. So let's use another example. So say for like Wednesday, let's see, 9:30. Boom. Okay. So we can see here, like what did price do? So this is market open. So of course, London session, we had a nice push up. Asian session, we had a push down.
here. So we actually targeted this previous demand zone. So you can mark these up. So like you do want to look at other sessions because you want to see what they do. So this could be like the low. So this is the demand zone. So we could mark that up because price tapped into here. So because we can notice when market opened here. So this is 9:30. So market opened, we had a push down and then a push up, and then it closed right above here, and then we actually had a push to the downside. So it pushed up here, and then we actually came down and it closed below here. And then of course this was at 9:45, so 15 minutes after market open. So of course if we saw this, we could have taken this sell right here, but this was before market open. So of course we want to wait because we want to see, okay, if price is going to break this low first. If we get a rejection off of this, then we're clear to look for buys. So granted, we see all this right here. So a lot of times this can happen too, where sometimes we just need to wait. Like could we have capitalized on this buy right here? Absolutely, because price it respected this level of demand and it never broke it. So we could have easily, based off of this, we could have waited on this candle right here at 10:15, and we saw this huge rejection, so we could have got in there. So we could have took a long position. So right off of this, let's see, 10:15. Okay, yeah. So actually, we saw this rejection wick. We needed to wait for this candle to form and see how it did. So of course, if we saw this, it actually rejected again. It pulled all the way down to here, respected this demand zone again, and then we actually continued to push up. So we should have waited here. We could have got in right at this candle because we saw this rejection right here. We could have got in like right here, and then again it stops right below this previous candle because we saw that price respected that area. And again, we could have targeted either this high or this high right here. So that would have been a nice 1 to 3. So as price continued, we could have capitalized on this. But of course, again, we would have actually hit our target. Let me see if we did. Oh, so no, we would have gotten stopped out actually. So the only move we would have capitalized on was this one. So we wouldn't have necessarily got a 1 to 2, but we could have capitalized on this, or again, we could have waited even more because price actually tried again to attempt to push further down, which it did. But then again, we got a huge rejection right here. Price pushed up again and took out this high right here, and almost even this high. We could have capitalized on that one as well. Price pulled back again, tried to push down even more, which it did, but it couldn't break these lows right here. And then what did price end up doing? It ended up pushing up even higher. So, and then pulled back a little bit and then pushed up even higher. So that's usually what I wait for, guys. So that is my strategy. I usually will go on the 15-minute. This is where I take my entries also. So I will look at the higher time frame. So let's see, where did... Okay. So we went to right here. So we could go on the higher time frame here. This is on the 1 hour. So this is the last one we looked at. So of course we can see here, like what was price doing. So actually during these last 3 examples that we showed, price was kind of consolidated, to be honest with you. It wasn't until this move happened on Wednesday that we actually started making higher highs and higher lows. So if we see here, again, that's why the 1 hour is pretty important, and the 4 hour, because you want to see market structure. Like, what is market structure doing? So we have a path, right? So price made a higher high, a higher low. We consolidated a little bit, and then ended up making a higher high,
consolidated it again, made a higher high. So we can kind of go like this, like this. We made a lower high, and then a higher low, and then a lower high, and then we kept eventually pushing up. So price did eventually keep pushing up, but we have to watch that market structure. So that's pretty much it for my strategy, guys. So pretty simple. Again, you always want to look at the higher time frame, look at the trend, see what price is doing. We're using this as an example. We went back all the way to December. So a lot of consolidation was happening, and it wasn't until like December 10th that we actually had a nice push to the upside. So, but that's what we have to identify. Even though you're in a consolidation, it doesn't mean that you can't catch a move, but you need to have confirmations. You need to see what direction price is going and watch those candlesticks. See if you have a double bottom or a double top or a bearish rejection or bullish rejection. So something like this. So this is what I call a bearish rejection. So like a candlestick like this. This would be a, let me do a different color so you guys can see that. So this is a bearish rejection. So price tries to pull down, ends up rejecting, and buyers step in and push price higher. So here it actually closed at about 42.18. But this is what we want to see, because this is what is allowing us to see, okay, great, we're having a rejection here. We can more than likely be able to capitalize on the next move. So what did price do? It ended up creating these two bullish candlesticks, and price continued to push up. So on the lower time frame, you could have capitalized on this move. So that's what we want to see. So a lot of people, scalpers, they don't really look at the higher time frame. They just look at like the 5 minute. But I feel like that's a missed confluence, I guess you could say, because the higher time frame will always be king because it shows you the trend. You just have to make sure that when you're on the lower time frame, you're not looking at a pullback or price to continue. So you need to make sure that you're in line with where price is going. So that's it for my strategy, guys. Let me make myself bigger here. There we go. So that's my strategy for you guys. So hopefully this guys helped you. Just want to show you guys how I trade and how I take my trades. If you guys have any questions, definitely leave them down below. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. Hit that notification button as well so you can continue to see my content that comes out on a regular basis. And we will see you guys on the next video. Peace and love, y'all.